Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. Today's video is my Halloween TBR. I have decided that I might not do TBRs every single month because I did get quite stressed in September trying to get as many books read as possible and only managed to read 2, which is why there is no September TBR wrap up this month. This is partially because I was so busy trying to get all of my blogging and YouTubing stuff done before I went away and keeping on top of things, so I just didn't have as much time to read, and I honestly didn't think there was any point in doing a wrap up just for 2 books. But because it's Halloween, I'm going to take a break from what is left of my September TBR, which I'm probably carrying over to November, and I'm going to read some spookily Halloween appropriate books. I'll probably chuck in my Plain Jane on there as well, just because I can. But these are what I'm planning to read, or at least choose from, in the month of October. You guys know me, Halloween is my favourite holiday. Autumn is my favourite season. Halloween is my favourite holiday. Yes, I love Christmas, but I love Halloween that little bit more, and in my opinion, Halloween starts on October the 1st and goes straight through until October 31st. It is not a one-day event, it is a month-long event, and it needs to be prepared for and celebrated appropriately with Halloween-appropriate movies, TV, anime, manga, and books. First up on my Halloween TBR is Vengeful by V.E. Schwab. This one is the sequel to Vicious. I think I will reread Vicious before I read this, purely because it has been so long since I originally read Vicious, and I kind of want to remember and have everything in place in my brain before I read Vengeful. It's so chunky. This is obviously a sequel, so I don't want to spoil it too much for you guys, but we have Victor Vale and Eli Ever. They have a partnership that has soured, much like Lex Luthor and Clark Kent and Magneto and Professor X. They were medical students that discovered near-death experiences under certain conditions could give you certain abilities, and now a trio hides in the shadows while another person takes advantage of post-death life to take over the city of Merit. Honestly, I've been waiting for this book for forever. Next up is The Dire King by William Ritter. This is the 4th and final book in the Jacoby series. I never got around to reading it when it came out. I pretty much binge read it the first 3 books, but the 4th one wasn't out at the time, and then it came out, but I didn't have time to read it. So Halloween TBR gives me the perfect opportunity to finally finish this series, and I'm really excited to see how it's all gonna end. Again, it's a 4th book, so I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but we have Abigail Rook, and she arrives in New Fiddleham in New England in 1892. She's desperately in search of a job, and luckily she happens across Jacoby, who is an investigator of the unexplained. He has a keen eye for the extraordinary, and he has the ability to see supernatural beings, and Abigail has a certain ability of her own. She can notice ordinary but still important details, and this makes her the perfect fit for Jacoby as his new assistant. To keep this as spoiler-free as possible, we basically have an evil king who is turning ancient tensions into modern strife, kind of using a blend of magic and technology to push the Earth and the Otherworld into mortal competition. Next up is A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. This is going to be a reread for me. I was planning to reread it before the series started on TV, but I didn't get a chance to, so I'm hoping I'll get a chance to reread at least the first book this month, because I really want to reread it so I can watch the TV series. A Discovery of Witches is the first book in a trilogy, and our main character Diana is a historian. She opens an alchemical manuscript in the Bodleian Library, which kind of causes an unwelcome intrusion of magic into her carefully ordered life. Diana is a witch of impeccable lineage, but the violent death of her parents when she was a child convinced her that human fear is more potent than any witchcraft. Now Diana has unwittingly exposed herself to a world that she has kept at bay for years, one of powerful witches, creative and destructive demons, and long-lived vampires. Next up is Escaping from Houdini by Kerri Maniscalco. I do not physically have the book on me yet, because I haven't bought it yet. I forgot to pre-order it so I could get the cards because I'm a dumbass, and seeing as I forgot to, I figured I might try and pick it up from Barnes & Noble in New York so I can get the Barnes & Noble exclusive with the little extra story, because I really love Thomas and I really want the extra story. So instead of buying it, I am waiting to get it on my trip to New York. It is the 3rd book in the Stalking Jack the Ripper series. In Escaping from Houdini, a luxurious ocean liner becomes a prison of madness and horror when passengers are murdered one by one and there is nowhere to run. Basically, Audrey and Thomas are heading to New York to solve another blood-soaked murder there, but in order to get to New York, they of course have to sail from England to New York, which means they have to embark on a week-long journey aboard the RMS Etruria. They are delighted to discover a travelling circus troupe, fortune tellers and a certain charismatic young escape artist, whose sole job is to entertain the first-class passengers every night to, you know, make that week-long voyage slip on by. But privileged young women start to go missing with no explanation, and a series of brutal slayings shocks the entire ship. There is nowhere to escape to except for the unforgiving sea, so of course Audrey and Thomas have to piece together the investigation and find the murderer before any more passengers are killed, but with clues for the next victim pointing towards someone Audrey Rose loves, which is clearly Thomas, goddammit. Can Audrey Rose unravel the mystery before the killer's gruesome finale? Literally one of my favourite series. I have been desperate to get my freaking hands on this, and literally if the New York Barnes & Noble doesn't have a copy of it, I'm going to cry. Next up is Remembrance by Meg Cabot. This is the latest book in the Mediator series. I read the Mediator series when I was a teenager. I completely loved it. I binge read it. I love all of Meg Cabot's books. They helped me through my teenage years. But recently it was announced that the series was going to have a new installment, which was obviously going to feature the characters kind of more grown up, and it is an adult installment, not a YA installment. I have had this book sitting on my shelf for ages. I haven't gotten to it yet. I was toying with rereading The Mediator, but I'm desperate to get to it and see what happens next, so I think I'm just gonna crack on with it this month. All Susanna Simon wants to do is make a good first impression at her first job since graduating from college and getting engaged to Jesse, but when she is hired as a guidance counsellor at her alma mater, she stumbles across a decade-old murder, and soon ancient history isn't all that's coming back to haunt her. Old ghosts as well as new are coming out of the woodwork, some to vex her, some to test her, and it isn't because she is a mediator gifted with second sight. I am literally so excited to get back to the characters and to see this series continue and to see how it's going to be done. I really love Meg Cabot's other adult series, the Heather Wells mysteries, and I'm feeling it's going to have kind of that kind of vibe to it, but obviously with ghosts. Next up is Bad Blood and All In by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. These are the next two books in the Natural series. I was waiting and waiting and waiting to see if they were going to be published in the UK. Then it became obvious they weren't, and I was going to have to pick up the US versions, and by that point All In was out. So I bought both, and I have been waiting to finally get to read them, and this month gives me the perfect opportunity. This series is pretty much a YA version of Criminal Minds. I really enjoy it. It is so easy to binge read, has a nice dose of creepiness, and it has an interesting bunch of characters. I don't want to spoil the series for you, so all I'm going to say is that Cassie basically has a gift that marks her as a profiler, and the FBI come knocking, and she joins the Naturals program, which is for exceptional teenagers, and they basically solve famous cold cases. We've had a serial killer, Cassie's trying to solve what happened to her mum, and various other cases. Like I said, it's a really good series. It keeps me on my toes. There's lots of twists, and I'm excited to see what's going down in these two books, because there is a break in Cassie's mother's case and there are new killers to meet and catch, obviously. Next up is Cold Burn of Magic by Jennifer Estep. I completely loved Jennifer's Mythos Academy series, and when she came out with this new series, I picked it up straight away. This book has been sitting on my shelf since the day it was published, near enough, and then as each new book in the trilogy came out, I picked them up. If I have time, I'm gonna read the whole trilogy, but I will settle for just finally getting this read. Our main character Lila lives in a tourist town that is known as the most magical place in America, but it is not as great as you would think. It's the same boring high school, just with twice as many monsters under bridges and rival families killing each other for power. Lila tries to keep out of it. She's got her mum's blood iron sword and her slightly illegal home in the basement of the library. Lila also has a couple of powers that she tries to keep quiet, like, you know, light fingers and a way with a lock. But then some nasty characters bring their family feud into her friend's shop. Now she is stuck putting everything on the line for Devon Sinclair. Her mother was killed by one of the families, and it looks like she's going to end up the same way. And finally is Mind Games by Jana Oliver. This is the latest book in the Demon Trappers series. I originally thought the series was just 4 books, and then a novella came out, and then this book came out, and I have never been more excited, because I remember being a teenager and binge reading the 4 books one after the other all in one go. I completely loved them. I thought they were brilliant. I loved how the demons were done, and I was so sad it was only 4 books, even though everything was wrapped up really well, and I was so freaking excited to find out not only that we were getting a novella, but that we were getting another book. I don't want to spoil the series for you, so I'm just going to tell you very roughly what the series is about. We follow Riley Blackthorne. She's the only daughter of legendary demon trapper Paul Blackthorne. She's always dreamed of following in her father's footsteps, and the good news is, with human society seriously disrupted by economic upheaval, fuck, that was a mouthful, and Lucifer increasing the number of demons in all major cities, Atlanta's local trappers guild needs all the help they can get, even if it's from a girl. Riley basically goes about her life doing her homework, managing her crush on Simon, and dealing with level 1 hellspawn only, but obviously things don't go to plan and a grade 5 fiend crashes into one of her jobs and sends her entire world spinning, along with a tragic death. In this particular book, Riley is basically learning defensive magic to protect herself and to protect Denver, but the Vatican aren't particularly happy about it and they want to ban all magic, and Riley could be the perfect scapegoat. Fuck's sake. I hope you guys have enjoyed seeing what's on my October TBR. Let me know down below what you are planning to read for Halloween this October. If you like this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for similar content, and I will see you guys next video.